So, you guys want to know about the Meepo board, huh? Alright, well I hope that intro was just as cringy as my last video was. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of references to the review that I did on this board almost 3 years ago. I got this board 3 years ago on December 30th, 2017. So I've had this board for almost 3 years now, and we're about to do an update to let you guys know how it ran, how it performed, and has my review changed at all. If you guys are interested in seeing the review, I'll put it right up here and you guys can go check that out and they can come back to see what I think now. So yeah, I figured I'd try to recreate the video as much as possible, you know, do it in the same location, you know, it'd be kind of cool, but I didn't realize how terrible of a location filming spot this is, considering it's right next to a road that's kind of busy and there's cars coming down it constantly. I guess I just didn't think about that when I just started out with YouTube, so. All right, so first I'm gonna go over the physical attributes of the board and what the board looks like and what wear and tear has happened to the board over the past 3 years. All right, so I couldn't deal with the cars driving by anymore. I had to move. Even if that was the original spot where I filmed the review, I had to film somewhere else. I had to become smarter. All right, anyways, here's the board. This is what it looks like right now. All right, as you can tell, there's some grime and dirt on the board, and that's just from use, obviously. It doesn't look as clean as the original video did. All right, now if we flip the board over, a little bit more dirt. As you can tell, this is a different casing than the original video. This had popped out. I made a replacement on how to replace this, but this had come off, so I couldn't get a tight water seal right here. And so I emailed Kieran, and he actually was able to send me a new replacement for free. So, and I haven't had any problems since, and that was like 1.5 years ago that happened. Also, another thing you may notice is a bunch of scrapes on the board. From riding it at different locations, going over bumps, scraping it a little bit. And that's the same with over here too, a little bit of dirt over here as well. I have ridden this in water, so as you can see, there's a little bit of rust there. There's some scrapes right here. There's a little bit of rust on the inside. I don't know if you can see that. These wheels the rust hasn't affected them at all, so. All right, now if we go to the back side here, there's been a lot more scrapes on here as I've scraped up and down curbs and stuff like that. It hasn't affected anything, still holding up very well after 3 years. With some chips here from rocks when I was riding as well. A little more rust on these parts here as well as these parts here, and on some of the bolts as well. These, after 3 years, riding at least once a month, usually even more than that, these wheels are still mostly, the front ones are mostly crack free. There's a little bit of dirt on them and stuff. They've definitely been worn down, but they still work perfectly fine. Same with this one here. Cracks a little bit, like tiny ones, like there's a little chip right there, but not affecting it. Now for the back ones, they have a little bit more tear. You can see there's a little bit of chips there. There's one right here. There's just a bunch of little ones throughout the wheels. Nothing huge or major though. A little bit right here. All right, so you can see there's some chips right here. All right, you see more cracks here. That's just some mud and stuff and some gunk. Some more cracks here. A little bit of divot on the edge there. Overall, pretty good though. All right, so the physical aspect, in my opinion, of this board, it was actually really good considering that it's 3 years old. Like I said before, it doesn't look like it's brand new, but it still works fine. I'll get more into how it runs and works later. So in the original review that I did 3 years ago, I mentioned that this board isn't a cheap board. I prefer the word inexpensive.
People say this is a cheap skateboard. This isn't a cheap skateboard. I would use the word inexpensive.
Because cheap means there's no quality and there's not a lot of money, whereas inexpensive means that it has quality, but it's not a lot of money. And as of now, I still hold that to be true. As a fully working electric skateboard 3 years later, after tons of use, I would still consider this board very much quality. All right, so another thing, when I got it, my dad and my brother thought, oh, he's gonna enjoy it for a few months maybe, and then he's just gonna forget about it and not ride it again. There's still lingering excitement for this board every time I go ride it. I never stopped riding this. I've always been riding this constantly. And there's just an excitement that comes with riding this board, or any kind of electric skateboard for that matter, that just doesn't go away. It's just always there when you ride it, whether that's a one wheel or an electric skateboard, or even an electric scooter. There's just always an excitement about it, I feel like. So my last video, I mentioned that this came with a backlight, a red light, so when you're riding in the dark, people can see you. But while I was riding it, it fell off and I never found it. So the light that comes with this specific board, didn't stay on very well. Now I don't know if this still comes with the board today, because that was 3 years ago when I ordered this. I believe the Meepo version 3 is out, or the Meepo version 2.5 is out, or something like that. This is the Meepo version 1.5. All right, so as you can tell by some of the rust in this, I have ridden this through water while it's pouring down rain, everything like that, and it held up perfectly fine to water. Didn't have any problems with it. It got water soaked on the underside. I've ridden through puddles with this. Everything's worked perfectly fine after that. Now, I have heard of stories where people have ridden this through water and it totally soaked their insides of the electronics and it destroyed their board. Me personally, I have not had that. I've ridden this through plenty of water and it's perfectly fine, still works today. So I think it's up to you whether you want to ride it through water or not. Okay, so this is the remote that came with the board when I got it. Now honestly, I like how small in form factor this is. Originally this feels cheap and plasticky and feel like it won't last, but this has lasted me 3 years. I've lost it multiple times, found it a few times. I've dropped this a few times, and so there's some scuffs on the bottom here. The place where the seams come together has shifted a little bit, so it's not quite in place. And I think because I've dropped it a few times, or it may just because the board's getting old, or it needs a newer remote, because there are newer remotes that I can replace this one with. I just haven't yet. There has been some disconnect issues with it, and I don't mean you're going down a hill and you just stop and the remote just doesn't work and you can't stop. Nothing like that, nothing to that extreme. The only problems with it I've had is if I'm going full throttle and I let go, it still keeps going for about a half a second and then it stops, which then you expect it to be immediate, so it kind of like jerks you a little bit while you're going full throttle. Never fallen off because of it. It's just kind of annoying sometimes. Same way with braking too. Sometimes it doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes it does. If you brake and then you let go of the braking, it still brakes for like a half a second to a second, and then it stops braking. All right, so my last video I talked about I was able to get the top speed on this thing, which I said it was 21 to 22 miles per hour. I got up to top speed once and I had speed wobbles like crazy, and I had to jump off the board. I almost tumbled. It has plenty of torque, plenty of power if you're looking for that, but I couldn't get up to that speed. Now I can say that is false. All you have to do is know how to ride the board. I just was new with skateboards and longboards and this board in general at the time, so I wasn't very familiar with it. Now I can go top speed easily, no problem. I can even sway back and forth like I have speed wobbles and get control of it. Really easy. It just depends on how familiar you are with the board. Now, one thing I will say that helps, if you put a lot of pressure on the front end of the board while you're going really fast, it'll decrease your speed wobbles and almost give you none. So I don't know if it's because I'm a better rider now, but ever since I've been riding this, probably a little bit after I got it, a few months, I have never had speed wobbles again, and I've gone full speed multiple times. So after getting 3 years of use out of this board and still getting used today, I'd say it's a great investment. The battery on it has lasted a ton. What's up? And it probably has been down a little bit, but not by much. There's some one wheels behind us, but anyways, like I was saying, the battery probably has gone down on its capacity and its torquiness a little bit, but not enough where I can really tell. It still gets a pretty long range. I can't remember what the specs are right now, and it's really torquey. So I've gotten used to the torque, but someone just new will fall right on the ground. So my experience with this board and the Meepo brand has been a really good experience so far. Their board is fantastic. I still use it to this day. I still enjoy it every single time I go out and ride it. It's very convenient. It's very comfortable. I haven't had a problem with the board yet, so the customer service, I haven't messed with them, but when I did need to have a problem about 1.5 years ago to 2 years ago, their customer service was really, really good. They responded pretty quickly and they gave me a free replacement part. Since I've gotten this board, Meepo has become one of the top electric skateboard companies out there, because Boosted Board has gone out of business. They still have boards around, but they are no longer in business. And Evolve is one of the other top ones up there. But when I bought this board, the Meepo brand had just started out. The electric skateboard kind of vibe or community had just started out. Everybody just babies, just learning about electric skateboards and electric devices and stuff like that, and I had just picked one up. And so ever since then, the community has boomed. Meepo is a really big, well-known brand now, and they have like 5 or 7 more new boards that are different variations. So Kieran or any of your team members, if you guys do end up seeing this review or update, I would love to try out one of your new boards and do a review on it. If you guys, that would be awesome if I was able to do that. All right, anyways, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe for more content just like this. And if you have any questions, make sure to post them down in the comments. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.